Evening.
Good evening.
Is my audio coming through? Good. All right. So it's another Monday, and welcome to week 2 of the FM Mastercraft Diploma Program. It's my pleasure to be taking your class again today. My name is Paul Erubami. Let's get to meet those in class. I see Abiola, Chimezie, Kingsley, and Olusegun. Yes, Samuel, welcome. All right, Michael is here. Who's coming on next? Pakarede, welcome to class. Barry Kuma, welcome. Good to see you. I hope I'm not going to have only one woman in class today again. I had one class on Saturday that had only one woman in it. It wasn't fun at all. What are we going to do about this? Having more women in FM. Class, tell me, what are we going to do about this? Having more women in FM. Are you telling me you don't have female colleagues or females that we could get involved in facility management? Facility manager don't go. Facility manager don't go. Toyin is here, I think. Toyin, are you there? Please stay muted, guys.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Yes, sir.
So that makes 2. I'm going to look out for all the women today. I should expect like 3 or 4 more. I don't know. How can we have a class of 60 and have just so few women? We have to do something, right? So we are going to do something about it. We're going to do something about it. Something already cooking for the women is coming up. We are doing a special diversity scholarship for women in FM. We want to get 100 women into FM in the next 6 months to 1 year. 100 brand new women, fully trained and competent in FM, using a scholarship scheme. So get your sisters and wives and aunties and colleagues who are probably sitting on the fence to be on standby for the FM Diversity Scholarship, okay? We'll be giving you more details about it. Daniel, go ahead. Daniel, I wanted to say something. Okay, so about your class governor. I had too few recommendations, so we're not having a class governor yet. I told you I was going to announce one on Wednesday. I will need to have at least a minimum of 70% of the class turning a nomination before I can announce somebody and feel it's democratic. Nominations have been very few. What's been the issue? We don't know ourselves, right? We don't know ourselves. If we don't know ourselves, then nominate yourself. At least you know yourself. What's the issue? Tell me, answer for me, answer yourself. I shouldn't be assuming what the issue is for you. Why didn't I get so many nominations? Let's see, Michael, did you nominate?
No.
Not yet. Sonny, did you nominate?
No, I did not.
You didn't. Chuchu, did you nominate? Wenofu, did you nominate? Abiola, did you nominate?
No, I didn't nominate. I actually forgot to. I plan to nominate, But I forgot to send the message.
Please send it. Fakorede, what
I
about
want to
you?
suggest. Oh, okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So is it possible we do it now?
Yes, you can do it now. The number is 0802 2020 122. That's the WhatsApp number. Just say, my name is, I nominate, put a name there. And that could be you, that could be someone else. I'm watching the
I'll
WhatsApp.
send it now.
I'm watching the WhatsApp right now. Let's do a live nomination, so you don't forget again. Samuel, have you nominated?
Not yet, sir. Not yet.
Seth, what about you? Some of you would think that if I don't put my video on, they will not see my face to nominate me. People will use your name and nominate you. You'll be governor, whether you like it or yes.
Not yet. I haven't.
Okay. All right. So those are two exciting stuff I have for you. The first was the diversity scholarship to get more women into FM. We're excited about it, and we think it's going to be a huge blast if you all join us to make it happen. And then the class governor. We're going to inaugurate our alumni council soon, and you're going to have fantastic professional activities, social activities being lined up for alumni. So we want whoever is going to represent you in that council, to be here, to be known now, and we can have up to 2 nominations: one, governor, and one deputy. Okay, so the final thing before I hit to this class is to ask you to tell me your key takeaways from your last class. So I'm going to lock it into the class we had on Friday, so that that is the lesson that is the official last class for this particular virtual team. So takeaways from the last class. Key takeaway 1, at least 1, it's fine. Who's gonna go first? All right, Theophilus, bell the cats. Please go ahead. You're muted, though.
Good
evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome.
From the last class I learned that it is not just what you know, but who you know also apply to facility management. So it's not all what you learn alone in the class or whatever, but whom you know matters a lot in facility management. And also mentor is very vital. In facility management, it can link you up with the next person that have a job that will link you up. So mentor is very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was good. Just before I get the others to come on board, I will want the person who is named as Tedo to please change his name to his name. We don't want to have to guess who you are behind the phone.
Should I just leave then?
Thank you, Theophilus, for your takeaway. All right, let's go. Who's going next? Chimezie. Kingsley.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, from our last class, I was able to, the takeaway I got was I was able to know the career path for a facility manager and the areas of specialization. It also came down to me. In fact, if I tell you, I don't even know which one is the soft and the hard. From our last class, I was able to differentiate which one is the soft and this. And lastly, well, the competence, the skills of a facility manager. I think I can now boast I know most of them and things I need to watch out for as a facility manager.
Super, super. Thanks a lot. That's good. All right. Wonderful. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, my takeaway from the last class, I think is when you were talking about strategic, tactical, and operational levels of FM.
Yep.
Where I work, we do like an integrator kind of setup. My company, TFM, is like an integrator for client organization, and we deal with vendors. So it got me thinking about what level I've been operating at. I operate mostly on the operational level day to day, but there are some elements of tactical, operational or tactical FM I'm doing.
Yes. Okay.
So it started making me become aware of, when I come across strategic planning in FM and how to get more involved actually on the strategic level. I'm not at the strategic level, but at least it's now opening my mind up to how
very good
things are set up. So that was a nice one. Thank you.
Very good. Welcome. Awesome. All right, Faith, let's hear from you.
A small one, that if your budget, your request to the management is constantly being turned down, then pay attention to your communication. Could be that you're not communicating well. You're not giving all the justification, all the reasons, the background information, what you need it for, why it's essential to be organized. All of it, if you give all of the necessary information, you are like your budget, your request is likely going to be. Yeah, I took that away.
Super. Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Faith. That was excellent. All right. So let me hear from, I'm going to call the ladies now. I'm going to hear from Sylvia. I'm going to hear from Barry Kuma and Toyin, 3 of you. And then we can get into today's class. If one of you refuses to speak, we are not making progress. Who's going first? Toyin?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, my takeaway was when you spoke about, somebody asked a question about how to make your boss, like you've been trying, and it looks as if you're not doing your best, and your boss is not seeing you as like you're working, and then you talk about mirroring your boss.
Yes.
I've shared that with my colleagues today because we had a boss who, there's nothing you do like is you're not doing anything. So it was really a very good one for me.
Excellent. Well done.
Yes,
I like that. Good.
Yes, sir.
So you are not the only one making the change. You're getting your colleagues to also work with you on that. Fantastic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Sylvia.
If you're communicating very well, they will like you. So I think that's one thing that got to me. Communicating, giving feedback. Don't wait for them to make a request or to escalate and all of that, but you be the one to communicate, get what they need, know what they need, and make sort of like a plan, communication plan. So I took that away with me. Thank you.
All right, Seth, let's close with you. Give us the takeaway.
Hello.
Okay, I think Sylvia is on screen now. Okay, go ahead then.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening and welcome.
Okay, though this is my first lecture, but I've been able to go through all that we did. And I spent time today to go through all that we have done. And as I was going through it, I was shaking my head that now I understand what is happening in my office. Yes.
Okay.
That's when I looked at the facility management life cycle.
Yeah.
And I noticed that most of the time they don't involve us at the beginning of the planning stage. Is use and replace and repairs that will get us involved. So, and we start from there. But I know that by the time we are able to, if we are able to profile solution and at the same time manage properly, and also present the unit as present our competencies to the upper management, will be involved in the decision making, even at the planning stage, will be involved. And coming to also, yes, we're always at the saving, spending end. We're the ones spending the money that is being made by the organization. So every 1 naira counts. So I've been able to, in fact, since today, I've been negotiating, looking at contractors, comparing prices. And so far, I've been able to put in action some of the things that I got from the recorded training, which I learned.
Super.
Yeah.
Super. Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was excellent. All right. Welcome, Sylvia. Seth.
Thank you.
Everyone. My takeaway, actually, because of my background and where I worked so much, I never got involved in so much in terms of the strategic planning, budgetary, and all that. So I just had an in-depth understanding of the facility management course. Having attended this class, it's really encompassing and it's wonderful for me, and I'm glad I did. And before I drop, Mr. Paul, I need to apologize. The reason why I decided to put my video off, I have my triplets and I am home with them alone today. So
some of you already mentioned the takeaways of the 3 levels of FM delivery: operational at the bottom, tactical in the middle, and strategic at the top. Most facility managers start their career at the operational level and they don't get past the operational level. A small minority get to the tactical level where they are part of making decisions as to what contracting approaches, maintenance plans, operations plans. And even fewer make it to the strategic level where you are taking high level, long-term, bird's eye view decisions regarding how everything is going to be done at the tactical level and at the operational level. And to be honest, even if you are not the one setting the stage at the strategic level, you must ensure that whatever you are doing at the tactical level and at the operational level is backed by strategic decisions. If it's not, then you are most likely making a mistake. And that's something I want us to learn. Being able to understand the SFP process, the 4 steps to implement the SFP, and look at several analyses. We're going to look at a few analyses that you'll be surprised. The FM is even required to know those things. And then we're going to wrap up with the operational readiness program, introduction into the operational readiness program, because we have a design build commissioning class that is going to give us, more details on operational readiness, the kind of thing that we should be thinking about and doing before we have a property delivered to us. FM is at the last stage once you take over, but what happens before that takeover? So what is strategic facility plan? The facility management organization envisions its future by linking its purpose to the strategy of the overall organization, and then developing goals, objectives, and action plans to achieve that future. So it's a 2 to 5 year facilities plan encompassing the entire portfolio of owned or leased spaces. In this plan, you set the strategic facility goals based on the organization's strategic business objectives. Everything you do in your own strategy must reflect everything the organization is trying to achieve. In essence, in this approach, the facility manager becomes someone who can reason like leaders in the core business. You are no longer going to be doing your job as a facility manager on a reactive mode. You are now able to fully comprehend what the organization is trying to achieve and knowing fully well what you need to do to enable the organization to achieve what it is trying to achieve. That's what the SFP is about. So while we have an organization with its long-term vision and mission, your job is to have your own long-term vision and mission, purpose and objectives to help the organization achieve those mission and vision. So this is the framework. I call it the big picture. There are 7 levels of activities. You know, the 3 levels are broken down into these further 7. Now, how does it break down take place? There are 3 strategic levels. The first and the highest is the strategic purpose level, followed by the strategic planning level, followed by the business unit strategy planning level. These 3 levels are 3 levels of strategy for the facility manager. We'll talk about them in a bit. And then you have the tactical planning level, which has all of the things that we expect to be done in the tactical level in FM delivery. And then you now have the execution level, which is the doing, the day-to-day doing, which we call the operations operational level in FM delivery. Now, to weave all of this together, whatever you do at that operational level must be measured, tracked, trended. And then you use the final level, which we call the feedback level, to keep trying to validate at every level whether what you are doing is right, in alignment, or giving the kind of results that's required. So let's start from the very top. What is the strategic purpose level? The strategic purpose level is the level at which the reason for the existence of the organization is defined. And the reason for the existence of any organization, whether profit or not-for-profit organization, is customers or key stakeholders. Everybody sets up to deliver a value to a certain public. That public is determinant of how we structure ourselves, how we think and act. Because if they don't receive, accept, and pay for the services and the value we think they need from us, then we have failed, like what we call dead on arrival. Why is it important for the facility manager to even understand the reason your organization exists? As you are going to see in today's class, everything you do at the lower levels of tactical and operational are all being done in error because something fundamental is missing. Why am I doing what I'm doing? That is what is missing, the why. You may know what, you may know how. What and how are subordinated to why. It is why that helps you decide the right what. Select, define, prescribe the right or the best how for your delivery. I'll give you a typical example. Facility management to a factory is not the same thing as facility management to a medical center. You might say, well, that's a no-brainer. People should know that there are two different industries and two different activities. But if you don't know the difference in the customer basis of both, the focus of both organizations, you come with a template and say, this is how we do facility management. No, there is no how we do facility management. Facility management works according to the client or demand organization's prescription. And this is very important. If I know why, I'll get the best what, and I'll get the best how, and I'll deliver the best results. And every time I deliver a result, it will be aligned to the customers. Now, but I'm not the one really using in a raw form the information at a strategic purpose level. This information is what the founders, the MDs, the board of directors, they all walk through to decide how this organization is going to be structured, who are we going to employ, what kind of research we're going to deploy, how much we're going to spend, how we're going to do marketing and target people and communicate our information to them. So the organization sets up what we call the strategic planning level. At this second level of strategy, the organization is creating what we call a corporate strategy. A corporate strategy includes the mission of the organization, the vision of the organization, the values, the culture, and strategic objectives. Let's take this bit by bit. Let's start with the vision. There's a lot of confusion, amongst many authors and even students between the meaning of mission versus vision. But I can put it very simply. Pay attention. A vision is an end point, end result. A vision is the final destination. So an organization that says, we want to be the noodles manufacturer of choice, is trying to say, if you take a poll in the markets of all the noodles in the markets, our noodle would be preferred by the generality of the customers buying noodles. If you ask anybody who has money where they would like to be treated when they are ill, our hospital should be the one that they will say, I will go to that hospital. Now, all the things I need to do to ensure that when those kind of samples are done in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years time, the information checks that we have arrived. Max-Migold's vision of being the ultimate source of localized global best practice for the maintainability and sustainability of the built environment is a vision. We want to be the bus stop where people say, if we are trying to learn about facility management, if we have not gone there, we have not known everything. That's a vision. But what then is a mission? A mission is the steps we are going to take, the whats and hows of our activities, our behaviors, the accomplishments we must make as milestones on our path to our vision. So see a vision as the end, see a mission as the road to the vision. If I understand my mission, I should define my vision rather, I should define a mission that takes me towards my vision. So most visions you hear will sound like to be, we will be known as, we will become. Is often an action statement that defines or creates a picture of a future. It is no longer your vision if that is what you already are now. So the moment you've arrived at your old vision, you need to create a new vision, except you will say, this is where I want to stop. I'm not going to make more progress. But when you are talking about mission, you are talking about things like, we will do this, we will do that, we will serve, we will seek to know, we will become, in terms of things that we're going to do and be perceived as. Those are the kind of things that form your mission. And why do organizations need to form a vision or a mission? Because of their customers. They have a target audience and they want to convey their understanding, they want to convert their understanding of the customer requirements into realistic steps to deliver those results to the customers. That's why they would define, this is what we will be, and this is what we will do, so the customers can relate. If you don't have that, if you don't have something that aligns with your customers, then of course you're not communicating yet as a business. And that's why when I see a mission or a vision, especially missions that says things like, we're going to be very profitable, we're going to make a lot of money, and you are saying that because these are information that's supposed to be in the public domain. Customers are seeing you as exploitative as a company. So be conscious, because everything you do at a strategic planning level must align to your understanding of your customers and be exactly a response to their requirements. So the mission and the vision, we write them down. We even write down our values. Values are principles to live by. For us to be able to go through this mission, arrive at this vision, this is what principles we are going to live with. In Max-Migold, we say our values are sustainability, customer centricity, reliability, integrity, positivity, some of those values that we feel are good principles, that if we imbibe them and live by them, we will stay on the path of our mission and arrive at the destination, our vision. So we write them down. And we always remind ourselves to modify our behaviors to be in line with our values so that we can be making progress through our mission to our stated vision. But is that always the case? The reality is what we call culture. It is sometimes the same as what we espouse or write. Sometimes it's at variance. Culture is the reality. Culture is the air we breathe, the way we make decisions, the way we think and talk, the way we react to each other in the organization. Culture is not often written down. So whenever you write something down and say, we will behave like this, you're writing a value down. But when you observe, maybe a third party observing what you're actually doing, how you're actually behaving and taking action, that person is observing culture. Culture is observed. values are espoused, signed up to, agreed to. It's our implementation of our values as we try to achieve the steps in our mission towards attaining our vision that we call culture, that observation of how we behave or how we do things. Every organization will have a set of objectives. These objectives are actually a breakdown of the milestones we have in our mission. Because by achieving these objectives, we'll see ourselves making progress. So strategic objectives for any organization is very key to how they set their mission and the activities that they will implement. So you have your vision, you have your mission, you have your strategic objectives. These are like your goals. If I do this, I'm on track. If I do the next, I'm on track. So how does all of this, which is often defined at the top of the organization, define back?
Okay, welcome, sir.
Thank you. The FM at the first two levels, the strategic purpose level and the strategic planning level, the FM is a student. You are learning about your organization. You are understudying. You know exactly what the organization's goals, vision, and direction are now. You are no longer going to be caught unprepared for the next phase in our organizational evolution or growth, because you have spent enough time, you've invested enough time understanding this. Where will you get all this information from? If your organization has a website, the developers and the managers probably got a lot of information from management and loaded there. If it's a quoted company, there is a Securities and Exchange Commission requirement that they should publish the annual reports, quarterly audited accounts, and the rest. And for most companies, they have their annual reports, they have town hall meetings with staff, they have management retreats where decisions are brought out and changes are implemented across the organization. The FM cannot behave like a stranger in the organization. You cannot see yourself as an outsider. You cannot say, it's not my business. Let them go find the money, let them decide where they want to go, and just give me enough notice so that I can provide them with what they need. No, you need to be ahead of the curve by understanding fully what the organization is about, what their goals and objectives are. And when you do, something interesting is going to happen next. You now are required to create your business unit strategic level, which is in perfect harmony. It mirrors, it provides solutions, inputs, resources. It just generally provides for every accomplishment the organization wants to achieve. So your strategic plan must be aligned the same way other business units need to create their own strategic plans. You have your own departmental vision and mission and objectives, which must be closely aligned to that of the corporate. If you are setting up milestones, they must also align with the milestones of the organization so that you are providing the enablement at every phase of the organization's evolution. But the FM has a very unique position. Unlike other business units that have to have a single alignment with the corporate objectives and goals, the FM department has to have double alignment. First, be aligned to the organization's corporate strategy. and then be aligned to the corporate strategy of all the other business units, because we make them accomplish what they set about to accomplish. So if I want to create my own strategic plan, I must understand not only the corporate strategic plan, but I must also understand the strategic plan of all the other business units that I'm going to be serving. And FM once asked me, but how would you get information from HR or finance or other units? They just keep the information to themselves. My answer is very simple. Don't go asking for information empty-handed. If you don't already have a plan for them, that you only need to refine the plan with additional information from them, then you might be the one that is having a problem. So in essence, come up with your strategic planning that incorporates all the business units, unit by unit, what you want to do for them. But of course, you don't know what to do for them until you know what they want to achieve for themselves. It is that template you take to them and say, this is what I'm working on. I'm not too certain about your requirements in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Can you give me some information, some insights, some ideas, some numbers I can use to come up with your requirements for the next 5, 10 years? If they see what you are working on, they will most likely plug in and say, you know what, add this. For example, an FM can easily come up with the data of staff strengths for the last 3 to 5 years, for example. How many people use our facility as staff? I don't even need the HR to first of all make my numbers. I know how many people sat. I did the space planning. I assigned locations, seats for everybody, right? So I know where everybody sits. I know how many of them are in this department and that department. And I've been tracking that number for years. So I know exactly how that number has been growing. I can do a linear projection where I project that an organization of 150 that grew to 200 will likely grow to 250. But I'm not certain, right? But I've done an analysis based on 250 for the next year. When I go to HR to say, what is it going to be like? Is this my projection adequate? There's no HR manager that will not tell you it's adequate or no, it's grossly inadequate. So we are expected to hire 250 next year alone, which means we are doubling our staff strength. Aha, you came with something, you got what you are looking for. Because if you estimate that we're going to add 50, your planning for additional space or optimizing your current spaces will be based on that mindset of 50. But now you've brought that analysis to the business unit head and you've gotten a clarification. It's going to be a boom. Get ready for work. You see how that changes the whole perception for me? It makes it easier for me to make proper strategic planning for them because I now have additional information that I can plug into my plans and I'll be ready when they are. Too many facility managers today are complaining about not being given sufficient notice for the provisions of the business units of the organization. If you are doing strategic facility planning, you are always ahead of the curve. You are not waiting to be given sufficient notice. There were interviews. There were employments. People were given notice to resume. Before the HRO gave you a memo to say, facility manager, kindly provide seating for these 100 people. They are resuming on the 5th of September. And what do? You freak out. First, you lash out. How can you expect me to do such magic? How can you give me just 3 weeks notice to get 100 people settled into the organization. It's unrealistic and you protest. But the truth is, you have been sleeping on the bicycle ride you've been having. Sleepwalking is what has led you to the point where you are protesting insufficient notice. Because, one, the organization has been growing. There are so many evidence that even someone who is not a member of the organization will know that the organization is doing well. The organization is spending money, hiring people, growing from strength to strength, winning new contracts, and you're observing all of that. And you are still waiting to be told our staff strength will increase. The organization is going into a new service line or product line, and there's so much buzz online about it. You, by the way, are still waiting. You've not done any analysis. You've not done any kind of data crunching numbers to know how your current arrangements, whether it will be sufficient or insufficient, because you are waiting. And that is not proactive FM. The proactive FM creates the plan, gets validation and data for the business units, and then uses that to make provisions to serve them better. What are those plans that you create as an FM that we call the strategic planning that takes place at the business unit strategic planning level? The first most important plan is what we call the strategic facility plan. The strategic facility plan is portfolio-based. It's a plan that answers high-level questions for the entire organization's property base. So big questions like, what should a typical site look like? What kind of services should we have on ground? What kind of sustainability metrics should we strive to attain? And so on and so forth. You are creating something like a real estate Bible that anybody that steps into that shoes or is trying to do anything in the branch tomorrow will be guided by those rules, procedures, documentation that has all the information about our long-term planning for our organization. Now, the second plan is what we call the facility master plan or the real estate master plan. They are the same thing. Whether you call it facility master plan or you call it real estate master plan, is the same thing. It's high level, just like the strategic facility plan. It is long-term, just like the strategic facility plan, but it is not, does not cover your entire portfolio. It covers one site, one location. So if I have 20 locations, my strategic facility plan is like the Bible that all locations need to take their instructions and procedures and guidelines from. But each location will need to have a master plan. A master plan is similar to a site plan that describes the high-level developments that will take place on that site, on the long term. It's only when we have these two plans that we can now say, yes, let's get into tactical planning. Oh, let's make a budget. Let's do design and construction for the new project, like the painting, the roofing, the remodeling we're going to do. Let's have maintenance plans that include maintenance strategies and maintenance activities and frequencies and so on. Let's have operations plans that defines how the BMS is going to be run, how temperature is going to be controlled and all that in the facility, including your space and planning and move management. All of these are happening at the tactical level. Why do you think you need to have the business unit strategic plans before you can have these tactical plans? Because the strategic plans is your anchor. They are your anchors. You are basically saying, We have reasoned out what we need to achieve. We know what we need to achieve. We know exactly the goals. We know all of the procedures and policies that need to be applied. Now we want to act. We are drawing power. We are drawing authority from those high-level decisions that have been carefully reasoned out and approved by management. And when you finish all your tactical plans, which typically will last for 1 year, most tactical plans you are seeing here are this year's plan or next year's plan. Whereas the strategic planning we're talking about in SFP and FMP are all longer than 2 years. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, all the way to 30 years. Planning way higher in terms of the level at which you see things and the depth of time that the plans will cover. So when you have the execution level where you're actually doing the things you have planned in your tactical plan, because your tactical plans are basically days and months. You know, it identifies days and months, whereas strategic plans can only identify years. In 3 years' time, we should be able to have done this. In 2 years' time, we'll be able to have done that, right? Those are the things you put in strategic plan. But in tactical plans, you have months and days because it's this year or next year. And then you execute, put soldiers on the ground, all of the processes and tools and templates you use to work. You get things done, and you are gathering data. You are reporting on everything. Customer satisfaction surveys are being done. All of those work orders you are generating on a daily basis, the amount of rework, how many days taking to meet the SLA requirements, and so on. You are generating data, including costs and timeliness issues. All of those data are not just to be data for fun. They are supposed to be data you use to understand your performance, because what's really your performance? You had where you are, you understand where you should be, right? And then you are now acting every day, trying to get closer to where you should be. Closing that gap is what performance measurements is trying to do. How well did you do it? Did I use the right task? Did I set the right goals? Did I accomplish the right task? And so on and so forth. Those are what I'm doing. That data I'm analyzing is my validate strategy. Because it's going to tell me if I am at the strategic planning level, am I meeting the requirements of my customers? Otherwise, they would have been paying more, or more of them would have been coming in. All right. At the business unit strategic planning level, am I fully aligned? Are the results I'm achieving aligned with the objectives of this organization? And at the tactical level, the things I'm doing in execution, is it an implementation of what I've planned? Has there been major deviation or variation? How much of it? And how far off am I to what I stated as my goal? These are some of the things you are doing on this framework. So in essence, you are trying to understand the organization and create a long-term plan on how you are going to satisfy the needs of your organization. Financial performance, customer knowledge, internal business processes, and learning and growth. This is all that I explained using that framework. If you don't understand the organization you are working for, you cannot serve it well. You read some things in the news, for example, the dollar has crashed from 500 to 700. Do you have any clue how that affects your business? You hear that the company has come in to open a certain type of business that competes with your organization, and they are pumping a lot of dollars in their investments, and your company is struggling. Does that tell you something? why should you care? Because you take decisions on a daily basis that affects the existence, survival of the company you are working for. Why do we set up businesses? In many cases, we talk about the triple bottom line, but the most important of the triple bottom line is the financial bottom line or the economic bottom line, which has to do with the profits, our impact on the environment, which is the planet bottom line, our impact on people, social bottom line. They're all very important. But if we're not making money, if we're losing so much money, we will run out of business and we'll be out completely. So let's look at that profitability equation. What is that equation? Your profits is derived by subtracting expenses from your revenue. Get all the revenue in. But remember that you are a major spender on behalf of the organization. So if there are two levers to profitability, one is revenue, one is expenses. You are holding the company on the expenses lever. If revenue remains what it is, a constant, and your expenses go up, what happens to profit? It drops, isn't it? If expenses go down, what happens to profit? It goes up, right? So that is enough to get you to answer that question for yourself. What am I doing for this organization? Am I affecting the profit or helping to kill the profits? Many FMs are not even at the point where they know their own impact on profits. A company where you saved 50 million on energy expenses in 1 year made 200 million as profit at the end of the year. Do you realize that you made 25% of that profit from your department alone? Can you do that justification to show that, look, I just helped this company make 25% of its profits from my own operations because I saved 50 million from my energy budgets or my energy expenses of previous years because of smart thinking and new processes I put in place? Those are the kind of things we are supposed to be looking at. We must understand our organization. And because we are not going to be focused on how to just reduce costs to affect profit, we need to understand the organization. What is value to the organization? If you don't know what is value to the organization, you will end up creating more problem for the organization than the good you are trying to do. Imagine an organization where you have, in a bid to save energy, made all the rooms now very dim because you've changed 40 watts light bulbs to 10 watts and the whole rooms are now dim. People are now going blind. They are now becoming less productive. Do you understand the organization? Are you adding value or killing the organization? You are killing it. You're not adding any value because you don't understand. In your mind, where I was before, if I can save money, they will praise me. You begin to save money the wrong way here. You are in soup. You are killing the business instead. Or you go and bring contractors who don't understand the kind of customers you have to come and be pissing your customers off, making them angry in the bid of trying to do their job. I see some of you who are stuck with some vendors who will rather come in at work time and shut down your generator to do servicing. After all, they're the only ones that can service generators, and you have to do it during the time everybody's at work, and then you obstruct the whole operations. Come on. If I understand my business, all that I decide to do to help the business must help the business, not kill the business. Do you know that as a facility manager, you will be listened to more, you will get more approvals, you will get more support from senior management, you will get more praise, you will get more promotions, you will be asked questions of strategic nature because you have exhibited that when you do your analysis, your business cases, and you take decisions, it's always out of understanding of the organization at the highest level. And then do some analysis to give you more insights. Like your SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. Scan, environmental scan, how environmental factors are affecting your business, your organization. If you work for a bread manufacturer and you don't pay attention to the different types of bread in the junction, every junction where you pass, to see which bread is competing with your company's bread in the stable, for example, you are not a worthy staff, a worthy employee. There's nothing you are doing in the FM that is right if you cannot pay attention to the core business and why we are in business in the first place. You are useless. By the way, let me tell you what makes a value for an employee. There are just three things. You are either making money, revenue, you are bringing money to the business, revenue, that's number one. Two, you are abating costs, reducing costs, saving money that has been earned, because money can be coming in from one side and then you are spending it foolishly. That's two. And then the third one, you are creating loyal customers. And this drives all the way back to that highest level I said, where you now fully understand the type of customers you are having. If you're not doing at least one of these three things, you can't be working for that company. You are killing the company. You must know where you are contributing. So if somebody says, oh, what are we doing to add value to this company? Ask yourself, have I brought money? Have I saved money? Have I made customers happy? If you've not answered at least one correctly, my dear, you are destroying that company. You are an enemy in the camp. And FMs often don't know when they are enemies in the camp. You see them, for example, tell everybody to wait, this is my work I'm doing. You wait, let me do my work. You have been doing your work since. So shut down now, let me go and do my maintenance, or else everything will crash tomorrow, as if you are threatening them. Or you come back and say, you have to bypass that process. We have an emergency. If this money doesn't come out today, there will be problem. You just want to override company procedure because you will not be proactive enough to understand the lead times. How long does it take for a director to approve? How long does it take to award a contract? How is the bidding process supposed to be run? You need to be ahead of that curve, not trying to jump in suddenly and say, hey, we must do it now. Remove all this bureaucracy and all those protocols. You are an enemy in the camp. So the FN's job is to understand the business, understand the business's customers, understand everything from why we are doing this and where we are up to where we are going as a business. That is the only time you can now say, I am a valuable employee. That's the only time you can now create proper plan to meet the needs of that business. To meet the needs of the business, you have to first create a gap analysis. The business is here today, and the business is going to this place in 5 years' time. I have to fully understand that. I have to understand how changes within the business and changes outside the macroeconomic changes and sociopolitical changes going to affect the business in this intervening period. And then I'll now use that understanding to create my own plan. This is what I'm providing as services today. What should my services look like in 5 years' time? Now that I know where the business is heading towards in 5 years' time. That's what I'm talking about. It's not more than that. No more than that. If you don't get to this point, then when the big senior management are looking for solutions to their problems, you always end up as one of the problem. Where's all our money going into? They will find it in your hand. The FM is spending all the money. So who should we ask to go first? It's the FM. They do two things very, very, very easily. First, they'll just come to you and say, you know what? Your budget cannot be above this number. Cap it at this number. Everything you do must be within that number. Now, they are not thinking for you because you didn't think for yourself, because you should have known beforehand that we are having a problem, right? So that you yourself have already cut your budget down to a way that you would have streamlined the budget so that the most important things are the only things that are now happening. But instead, you are doing all kinds of irrelevant things. They are the ones who now come and tell you, cut it, 50% reduction or else. And you now say, things will crash, oh, we cannot provide the service, so you are holding me to ransom, oh. You're trying to, blackmail the business at that time because you've not been thinking. And then what is even worse, when they come to court and they see that you are not cooperating, they will now tell you there are 15 of you in your department. Cut down 7, let's remain 8. That's if they even give you the privilege to decide who the 7 are. Because in most cases, you that is the head is already overpaid as far as they're concerned. So they will ask you along with 6 others and make one assistant the new boss at a lower cost. So there'll be a new boss who is going to cost less and 7 more people who have learned that if they don't behave, they'll be asked as well, isn't it? That's how departments are working right now. We need to take sense and get ahead of the curve and become the strategic managers that help the organization navigate turbulent waters. Not the ones that when the organization is going through turbulent waters, we are also dragging the organization down by posting bills and spending money stupidly, because that's exactly what's happening in many organizations. I was with one organization where they were building a new branch and they scoped everything, including 2 brand new generators. Whereas they had 5 generators mothballed in a site in Ibadan. The FM was not even conversant with where all the assets were. They are buying 2 new generators for a new branch. You have 5 generators that can still work, locked up in a yard in Ibadan. When that is discovered, when senior management picks on that, and that's where it starts from. Before we get to the point where we're creating new spaces and creating new plans, acting out our plans, we have already done all of our analysis. And so the basic understanding, to break this down to our level, know the facility you currently have, in-depth analysis. How many square meters? I felt so disappointed a few days ago when one of my past graduates from this program went for an interview and came back and said, I did not answer one question correctly. They were asking me how many square meters of facility I'm managing. I did not know. How would you not know? That is FM 101, your asset register. So if you don't know how many square meters, how did you know how many kilowatt hours of power you are consuming? Or how many liters of water you are consuming? Or how many air conditioners are in your sites? How would you know any other thing? Because that's where it starts from. If I know where my organization is today, I know where they are going tomorrow. I should also know the facilities and services I'm having today that matches today's own. Know whether it's adequate or not, and know how to increase it. Am I going to replace new assets? Am I going to change my services, my contracting strategy? Am I going to employ new staff? What skills gap will I need to close to provide the kind of service that will make that requirement? Those are the things I'm doing because I understand. Are we making money as a business? Are we losing money as a business? How many people have been working in this organization in the last 3 to 5 years? Where have they been sitting? What kind of services have they been consuming? What have they been complaining that they need to be able to do better? Now I'm talking, you're talking in numbers. And FM, without recourse to HRO, can predict future headcounts, can predict headcounts, can predict demographics. You don't need to know exactly the date of birth of every employee. You know their age range. You can say male, female, age 25 to 35, 45 to 55. You can estimate by looking at their faces, and you will know what kind of headcount you have. Even by the number of O1 you attend for new weddings, when they invite all staff to a certain wedding, you know the numbers that will tell you that we have women in the baby booming age, that we need to start thinking of a crèche, for example. The FM needs to be more strategic. Don't wait until HR writes you an email. Please, start thinking of how to put a crèche in place. It's supposed to come from us, because we know we will write to HR and say, we've had 10 weddings, which will translate into babies from next year. And this will take so many hours of leave to nurse their babies. Would it be nice for us to have a small crèche, a place where we can have like 10 babies cared for? in this facility in the next year's budget. It is not you that will be defending that budget to management. HR will be the one defending it before it even gets shut down by anybody in that panel or wherever they're reviewing it, because you have met their business unit's needs. You are thinking for them ahead, and you are getting them to endorse and say, FM is supporting us. FM is thinking for us. FM is acting for us. So when you go for approval, people who are going to approve, you are representing them well. They will approve now. There will be no story. It's when you come with something like, where is he getting that from? It's not for us, so we don't know what he's talking about. That's where the problem comes. And then be able to even do some scenario planning, simulate possible operating conditions. What kind of changes can happen, are likely to happen? You know, in each, the best case, worst case, most likely. What kind of changes can likely happen? You see, this kind of thinking is not common among Black people because of God forbid. It's true. We always don't imagine that anything bad can happen until it happens. So plan for the good, plan for the ugly, and so that if anyone happens, you will say, I've thought through this, this action I can take. That's what we're talking about here. If business booms for your organization, what will I do? Omo, we're moving out of our rented space, so we're building our new head office. I have that plan. As the business is booming, I'm throwing it up in my capital planning. Head office location, projects. Management approved 25 billion for us to build a new head office. We can't be paying all these millions of dollars in rent anymore because we are big for it. That's because I've had that scenario. If business shrinks and something terrible happens, what are we going to do as a business? The FM should not leave the whole thinking for senior management. We should be doing some of those thinking. Let me tell you something that elevates you in organizations. When you do some thinking and analysis and you bring some documentation of evidence on board, when they see the efforts that has gone into that analysis, one, they will not only recognize the work you are doing, they will recognize you, they will notice you. So when they are holding meeting next time and they're looking for somebody who is going to work on a new on analysis or any data, they'll say, call that person. Or they will say, please, let's ask him his opinion on ABC, because they've seen that you are doing some of the things that is keeping them awake. And then other tools like systematic layout planning that helps you to lay out exactly what you have. Let's assume you have a space plan of all your facilities, floor by floor. Who sits where? How many people are there? What are the head counts? Are they male or female? Which work are they doing? Different kind of things you can do in systematic layouts, spreadsheets, drawings, just to give you a clear view. Somebody says, oh, I have 200 air conditioners in my building, but where are these air conditioners? What type are they? Just creating a spreadsheet to help you analyze the data is systematic layout planning. And then your SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is not just about your department. This is you assuming that thinking on behalf of your MD. What are the internal positives for our business? What are the internal negatives? Internal positives are our strengths. Internal negatives are our weaknesses as a business. For example, many businesses will say, oh, our main internal negative is that we don't have funds to execute our projects. We always have to go and borrow. You have to know it, because that helps you think too, so that you'll not be saying, let's pay advance all the time. We're always wanting to pay advance in a bid to get it cheaper. It will help you realize, you know what, let's use other people's money to get it done. If a vendor would do it for 80,000 with his own money, instead of us paying him 6,000 in advance and I'll pay him 80 later, let him go and do it. Rather pay him 80 later. At least we'll get value, and then we can now pay him 80K instead of going to borrow money to run our business. This kind of thinking helps us make better decisions. And the same thing applies to the external. The external positives, the opportunities that we have around us, and the external negative are the threats, other businesses encroaching our spaces. FM should be aware, fully aware. Anything you are doing, if it's a school and another school, you saw a foundation being built in the streets, a massive building is coming up, they now say, oh, so and so school coming soon. Don't let your boss be the only one sweating and thinking, how am I going to stay in business with this kind of dollars pumping into this new school here? How would they affect my business? You should also be bothered. That's what we're talking about here. And then you document all of the objectives. You know, after you've done your graph analysis, you say, this is what I'm going to be able to achieve, and this is what I'm going to achieve. This is likely costs of the projects. Looking at our funding for the last few years and how our funding is looking at for the next few years, which ones are feasible, and the ones that are not feasible. You will not create priorities. You create multiple options, and then you not prioritize them using your scenario plans as well. And you start getting approvals. You start getting approvals, either a new space you are going to create or an altered or reconfigured space. In essence, you are rolling out projects to move your organization forward. So we talked about the key outputs of the planning process, mainly the strategic facility plan and the facility master plan. If you look at the two of them, you'll see that one, the SFP is portfolio, high level, it's like creating the rules, the big picture objectives for all sites. But the master plan is a site plan: zoning, regulation, covenant assessment, space standards, benchmark description, program of space use, how you're going to allocate spaces, who's going to sit where, block fit and stacking plan, how floor is going to lay on each other, which department will be on this floor, which department will be on that floor, and so on and so forth, construction estimates, phasing of sequencing plan, and so on and so forth. These are all for one location. But everything in the master plan must answer to the strategic facility plan. For example, you can have the same sustainability metrics in two locations, where you have one location using a high rise and having mechanical ventilation, another location using sprawling bungalows and using natural ventilations with trees as shades and fans, right? So you can achieve the same level of sustainability metrics by doing different things, okay? But those different things are what you have in the master plan. And then this whole process of plan, design, construct, test, commission, handover, and facility management is the life cycle of any property. The FM often comes in at the end of the facility management, starting facility management phase, and that is a problem. But we have another class where we're going to talk about what we should be thinking and doing in every phase, so that you don't go to say, involve me in the design phase, involve me in the construction phase, when you are going to be useless to that phase. You need to know what you should be, what you can contribute in those phases. Nobody will go and invite you now. That's why they don't invite us. They just say, oh, no, leave the FM, leave the leave. When we want to hand over the key to who will clean the place, we'll call them. That's what they tell. That's what they say. And they conspire and act it out well, because we really won't have any inputs, because we don't know. You don't know. So as you gain experience, get more involved by learning. For example, an FM does not know how to read drawings. If you see architectural drawing, will you know what a door is? Will you know what a window is? If you see 3050 mm as a dimension, will you know how many feet that is, or how many meters that is, if you were to look at a room to know, okay, what's 3050 in dimension? They are small, they may sound complex, but they are simple things to learn. Simple conversions. By the time you start getting involved, getting interested, watching YouTube videos, looking at schematics, you get more information. When people are telling you, oh, this chamber is blocked, You say, okay, please sketch for me how the piping was done. What dimension of the pipe? So this pipe was 75 mm. You say, how many inches is 75 mm? They say 3 inches. Oh, so the pipe was just this thick. Why would they use a 3 inches pipe to do a drain pipe? You now say, okay, so where is it blocked? It says in a joint. You look, what kind of bend is that? Is it a 45-degree bend or a 90-degree bend? And then you know that where else they use a 45-degree bend, you don't have that kind of blockage. This one is a 90-degree bend. So next time you're looking at the drawings, you're asking the architects and engineers, please, the downpipes for these toilet drains, are they 90-degree bends or 45-degree bends? He says 90, no, that will block now, unless you're going to change it to 150 mm, which is 6 inches pipe. So the guys start thinking, oh, this FM knows what it, because it's not the day they build that 3-inch 90-degree bend that it blocks. It works for a long time. People will even fold paper and put it to flush to go. Nothing will happen. But one day, one small thing will stay at the corner there, and then the next one we hold. The next one we hold. Maybe it's not flushed for 3 days. It dries up. The other big one that is coming, it will now wedge it. And then the main big one is coming. Everything will now close. They will now say it's blocked. Those are the kind of experience that you gather over time to become useful to the other stages. And we're going to have a full class on what value we bring to that quality assurance process. Because the FM is supposed to be involved at every stage: planning, design, construction, testing, commissioning, handover, and facility management. And then we'll have a full depth and breadth of this particular side of our work. Okay, but done well, if you do operational readiness well, that whole FM involvement is what we call operational readiness. When people build, they set 3 goals for themselves. Build cheaply, costs must be precise, right? Build quickly, the schedule as agreed must be adhered to, and build according to scope. If we want this quantity and quality of work, we want it that way. That's the goal they set for themselves. But what's the reality during construction? All kinds of changes, all kinds of variations. In fact, 95% of variations and changes in many construction are not even redocumented. They end up in minutes of meetings where co-conspirators who want to get paid their next milestone payment quickly all agree to change it to make things move faster. Imagine a consultant whose payment is also based on milestone. Can he obstruct a contractor from getting something done fast so that the milestone payment can be done? He won't obstruct it. In fact, sometimes the owners, developers are also a co-conspirators, inadvertently agreeing to things that will make it done quickly because they want to get the project done quickly so they can sell. Please, it's okay, just change it. They're not going to live in it, right? But many only end up with life cycle maintenance and operations costs that are now elevated or escalated because of those rush, hush decisions that were made during construction. So the FM's job is not to slow things down. The FM's job is to introduce the 4th objective, which is actually supposed to be the number 1 objective, which we call operational readiness. Operational readiness is the one that carries the end user's thinking, the end user's experience as a goal from day one when you are planning, so that everything you are doing is always being considered against the end user, not the speed at which construction teams want to do and leave, because they won't want to work and leave. By the time you start having a problem 2 years down the line, they've done their 5th project. They replicated the same mistake 5 times. If you even have access to them, in most cases, you don't have access to them. They're just repeating the same mistakes again and again. And they keep telling you we're experts. I've been building this thing since 1975. Since 1975, I've been making the same mistake. And nobody has come back to tell you that when it is 15 years into it, this is the problem we used to have. Because you never experience it. The people who experience it 15 years, 10 years, 20 years into what you build, they should be with you to tell you, bros, I beg, that's a mistake. Oh. In 10 years' time, we're going to have a big issue with this particular thing we are building here. That's what operational readiness is about. So the FM should not wait to see that problem 10 years down the line, should predict it now, that we are designing it to say, hold it. If we go this route, we're going to have issues later. A simple case in point is this air conditioners that they are pasting on the sides of high rises all over Lagos. And I'm just laughing. A full grown man will do a design with a mechanical device on a wall, on a 5th, 6th floor of a building with no ledge, no standing, no platform. He will just be pasting it with scaffold. So every 3 months that I want to service that thing, what will I do again? Go and get another scaffold, isn't it? And deface the building, trying to access it. As we are talking, new designs are still being built with these same ACs being pasted, split ACs being pasted all over the body of the building. So that's what we're talking about. So the FM's job is, it's not an expert, we're not the expert on construction. We are just going to say, men and brethren, this design you are doing, this is the problem we are going to have during operation. I'm just feeling for the whoever is going to be living here, because the person will want to do AC servicing of 5,000 naira, but we use for the 5,000 naira to get scaffold every month, every 3 months. So it's 5K maintenance has turned to 50K because of putting the AC on the side of the building. Why don't you create another ledge or a little extra projection that we can put a railing around and put those outdoor units so that somebody can either come out from a window or a door, get in there and do the servicing safely. It's going to cost us extra 5 cubic meters of concrete with reinforcement. That money is going to be too much. Hold on, let's do the projection. How much is the money? Write it down. We're going to service ACs in this place every 3 months for the next 100 years. Even if I do 20 years, this extra concrete will not even cover the money of 5 years of borrowing, hiring scaffold with all the risk to come and do that. You see, I am not bringing my own interest. I'm bringing the interest of the user. I might be the one managing that user tomorrow who is going to be having these issues. But again, operational readiness also supports the objective of the owner. Some owners don't know that smart people cannot buy their property. They took me to go and see a property in Surulere once to purchase. I was really interested in buying an apartment. And as soon as I got there, I didn't come down from the car. The marketer was confused. Mr. Paul, why now? What's going on? I said, I'm not coming down from this car. I'm not buying any of this property. There's something I've already seen that makes this property unacceptable by any standard. It was when I left, one of the developers called me and said, look, I'm curious. Please, I beg you, tell me. I need to know what put you off to the extent that you could not even come down from your car. There were 2 things. They had the ACs pasted everywhere, and they had this unsightly plumbing. You know, when you have little extensions at every floor, and you have plumbing going around 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree back again, and 90 degree down at every floor. So, so I'm going to be in this house one day. Toilet will overflow. They will say, I should come and get scaffold to come and replace joints in so and so place. Plus the fact that my bathroom will be smelling all the time because the air pressure would have been trapped by those too many bends. And the smell will be coming back into my floor, especially if you're in the lower floors. I said, I'm sorry, that's the truth. But you are developed already. I don't know what you can do to fix that problem. But you still have some other buyers who will come and buy. But at the end of the day, he has to reduce his prices, right, to be able to sell off over time, because more people are becoming more enlightened about the problems and they are leaving. So people will design malls, multi-tenanted malls. And after they've designed it, they've not wired the place in such a way that every unit, every suite can be metered. They are still going to depend on, let's share bill. Let's share bill. This is the total bill. Let's use your square meters to share bill. I won't rent a shop in such a mall now. If I cannot be accountable for my own energy efficiency and my billing, I'm sorry, my business is not coming here. So the mall will not be rented. So some of those things, they don't realize that it is those who have operated it. It is those who have used it and experienced the problem. If you've managed an estate where you cannot collect service charge, nobody will advise you next time. The first few years, some people will just pay service charge. After that, they don't want to pay again because they are seeing all kinds of problems that is complicating their life for them. Somebody has bought a house in an estate, fine roof, and then the next day, because of all those parapets and all those walls intervening inside the roof, leaking in every wall and damp, children are getting sick, they come and pay service charge. So that's the kind of issues we're having. So it is for us as FMs to understand what value. We have to bring experience from the field into the design process. And then we begin to sell not just ourselves, but defend the future customers of those estates. All right, so we're going to deal with this on its own as a full course. Questions? Abdul, go ahead.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you for the lecture. I really enjoyed it. It's opened my mind to different aspects that we need to get involved in that we are not actually stepping in. But my fear is when you're talking about strategic planning, where do you need to draw the line as an FM? Because it seems that you are now helping business developers to do some part of their job, which they might feel threatened on, some part of the general manager's job, which he is supposed to sit down and analyze also. So when you now dive into all this, some FM might be fired because they will think you are prognosing into different things that you are not supposed to get into. And some companies don't even know the JD of a facility manager. When you try to ask some question, they think, well, how is it your business? Why do you want to know? But you are trying to see ahead. You are trying to see the future. When you're talking about the business aspect, they feel you are not supposed to know about it. So it's quite a difficult line to tread on when it comes to taking such steps. So please, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line?
Very good. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so the first thing is develop your analysis for your own use. You know that some of us write memos to get approval. Some of us do business cases. Most of us write budgets and will require approval. Most of those documentation are faulty because they don't have anchors. They don't have strategic anchors. So your analysis, first objective is, I want to have enough data and information to always anchor and support and justify my proposals so that I will always get approved. Because if you're not getting approved, you're not succeeding yet. That's the first goal. Now, when the quality of your analysis begins to come out in your work, it begins to attract the attention of management. You can now come to take business unit leaders, for example. It is not as if they asked you for a strategic plan. They don't even know, they don't have a clue that you, as a professional, you should be having a strategic plan. In fact, in their mind, you should wait until they tell you what to do. That's what has kept our profession at the bottom. So if I were to go to a business unit leader to say, I need information from you on how to serve you, I will not come empty-handed. I will make my own permutations based on my observation and the data I can gather freely. For example, I can have a lot of information on staff strength, trends of how staff increase or decrease has been, plus demographics, just from space planning. I allocate seats for people to sit on. So I know everybody's name. I know whether they're male or female, for example. So there's a lot of data I already have with which I can develop analysis and strategic plans that when I share it with them and say, I will need your input to help me perfect what I am planning for you. Do you know that FMs don't have anything we do for ourselves? Everything you do, everything you require as resources, everything is for, you must anchor it on them. They are the reason why you are there. We don't come to work for ourselves, we come to work for them. If they understand that we are not trying to be like them, but to be for them, that we come because of them to work, they will be more disposed to cooperating with us and sharing information with us. This is very important, especially when you have an IT manager and you have a HR manager and you have a facility manager, and before long, they all start behaving as if, after all, we are colleagues of the same rank. We may be of the same rank on paper, but I'm here as your servant. I'm here to ensure that you succeed. If I come with such a plan, and the plan starts with, these are the goals of the IT department. This is what services the IT department currently uses. And these are the additional information from surveys, business user group discussion that we have that we need to add as additional services to IT departments. These are some of the services we're providing right now that the IT department does not need. These are the number of people in the IT department right now. But considering how it had gone from in the last 2 years and last 3 years, there's a projection from our own estimation. This is how many people will be in the IT department in the next 3 to 5 years. Look, I have done my permutations. That business unit leader will see the quality of what I have done and will most likely contribute better information. For some of them, instead of fighting you to say, why are you prognosing into our business and the rest, they'll be like, can you really do this for us? Are you sure that you can pull this off as a resource to enable us to succeed and do well? Of course, that's what you're going to hear if that business unit leader is really interested in succeeding. But again, there is politics. So you as a business unit leader should not go there expecting somebody to just see the obvious positive in what you are doing and sign off to it and say, oh, let me go and let me give you more information, because there's politics everywhere. That guy might look and say, oh, this guy wants to use us to shine now. He wants to go and do this thing. And so management will now say, he's doing very well. Even though it's going to help them, they don't want you to shine.
Yes.
So to prevent that, I will first of all now me want the approval, and I me want the information. I don't mind taking you for lunch to have a chat. I don't mind having a more informal discussion. I will cut you deliberately. If I know you are the type that want to kill my shine, I will not, a lot of us read meanings to things too much. Oh, this person hates me, therefore I must put strategies in place so I can counter him. You're not countering him. You can't succeed countering him. Because if you don't serve him well, you can't succeed, right? So I must ensure that I soften him. I soften him. I find his birthday. I'll be the first to wish him happy birthday. Somebody has actually passed through another church, close from his church, went to another church where he knows that his colleague worship there. Say, I heard that you guys are doing Thanksgiving today. I just say I should see how you are doing, just to greet you and pass. That guy will be like, this guy is a nice guy. Oh. You are preparing him for work. You are preparing for positive things you want to bring up. In fact, when you tell him that at lunchtime I'll pass through your office, the small matter I want us to discuss, he will be ready for you because he's expecting you. Because you have prepared him. You soften, you water the ground. Don't see your job as something that is not personal. It's always personal. That level of commitment that makes you to prepare the ground before presenting something for which you really need information about is very important. It shows that you are committed. Because to be honest, and I say this again and again and again, you're only succeeding when you are getting approved. So there'll be politics, there'll be resistance, there will be, it's not like a sick man who doesn't want to take medicine. There are so many of them. But you have to cajole and play with them and make them feel like, oh, the medicine is chocolate and whatever it is, just to make sure they can respond, isn't it? It is now your creativity to get through and get that information you need. But don't come empty-handed, okay? Faith.
Okay, two quick one, please. I may have missed it. Block, fit, or stacking plans.
Yes.
And then second question, you can take both. Under life cycle management, and then it starts with planning, and I see here in the chart, ending with facility management. Where does disposal come in?
Yes, facility management handles disposal. There's another chart you've seen, another of our slides that has disposal after facility management. But facility management is where disposal takes place.
Okay. Okay, you can then go back to the block.
Now, for the first one, you know, when you are doing site layouts in the real estate master plan, right? If you leave it to an architect or an engineer who doesn't understand how your business operates, you would experience what we experience in some of these public hospitals, where you will queue up at one end to collect card and then go and take teller across the whole compound. And then where you collect the teller and where you pay the money are two different places. And where you collect receipts after paying the money is the other end. And then after collecting that, you have to go and pick up your card and go and donate blood at the other end before you now come back and take on the queue to come and meet with the doctor who is going to see you. Maybe by that time you're already well because they have drilled you. They've not created a seamless flow that uses the mindset of the user.
Yeah, frozen, kind of.
On this side near their own quarters, put their own. The designers will be thinking in most cases in terms of the of themselves who are creating the service, not thinking in terms of the user created for. So when you are doing schematics, you are asking, where is the flow of activity in this organization? What department should be in front? First contacts. If there's going to be further contacts, how is the next department going to be related? So when we do bubble, we are doing interrelationship between departments when doing schematics or when doing initial plans. When you do stacking plans or block plans, they're the same thing. It's for high rises. When you are designing spaces on multiple floors, and you are trying to say, okay, so if we put the executive director's office on the 15th floor, who are those who work closely with him? And then where are the public-facing floors? Where should we put the shops that should be open to the public, for example, on the ground and first floor? And what other, where should we put accommodation? Should it be close to the outside or should it be sent to the back? That's what you are doing. You're using those kind of planning to create relationships. So whether you're talking about bubble, stack, block and fit, they are all part of schematics.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear from Kingsley.
Thanks for the class. I just want to ask, involving facility management in the design stage, is it still a proposal or have they started implementing it? Because I have issues when we we won a contract, and we spent years resolving snags inherited from the constructions. So I want to know if the implementation has started or is still a proposal.
My dear, some organizations are already moving on with having the FM involved. Some organizations are not even there at all. They don't even think the FM has the capacity to contribute anything to construction projects. In fact, I had a recent case where one of my students was transferred to a new project that is being built. And she came back and said, oh, it looks like they're taking me away from FM. Or what am I going to be doing in the project? I said, I don't understand. Is it not the prayer that we have been praying that they should be involving FM in projects early enough that they are giving you the opportunity to do now, so that you will have your eyes on everything that is being built, so that when it's handed over to you, you will see yourself as fully aware of everything that is given to you. So how come you're not seeing it as the promotion? She started smiling. That's when she now realized that, okay, it's true. My company has just upgraded me to have me, go and work with the project team so that they won't dump rubbish on us. Not all companies are there yet, but before you in your company can get to that point, you must have shown some level of strategic thinking and analysis that will make them want to take you into such a project, or even think about having an FM consultant. You'd have made enough case for them to even have an FM consultant among the consultants. They'll get mechanical engineer consultants. They'll get electrical engineering consultants. They'll get structural consultants. They will get plumbing consultants, but they will not get FM consultants. You understand? So we need to start making that case to our businesses to say, when new projects are coming on board, we need to have people who will introduce the fourth dimension of operational readiness into the project. People who will be conscious about energy efficiency, who will be conscious about operational costs, who will be conscious about sustainability, who will be conscious about safety of the operations and maintenance, who will be conscious about the experiences, the end users we have, and the common issues that they're going to be having. We need somebody who is going to be here. We have to make the case one by one. If you make it the first time and it doesn't work, don't give up. Up your game and try again, okay? Fakorede. Fakorede, go ahead. You're muted. All right, Adiola, let's hear from you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, sir, for the great lecture. So I want to find out from the FM point of view, are there policies or guidelines that say that now in the build-up environment, the FM should actually be part of the initial design stage? Because of course, we already know that we're really not ready yet for this operational readiness program. We're not ready, but are there policies in place that one can say, okay, based on policy, this should be what it is. An FM should be involved in the initial planning stage before things get too far. And that's my first question. And then my second question is there any resource we can read to read more about this whole strategy thing? Because for me, I think that's really like the backbone of really what we are all about as facility managers, and we need to really get it right. So are there any resources we can read on our own?
I can recommend one book. I can recommend one book for you.
Okay. Okay.
It's called Managing Facilities and Real Estate by Michelle Theriot. I'll drop it for you in your group.
Okay.
I'll drop it for you in your group.
Okay.
Yes, I'll drop the book for you. You need to find it and read it. There is a hard copy of it. There is a Kindle copy of it if you buy from Amazon. I doubt if there is a PDF copy, but some guys know how to dig out for free PDF online. Some textbooks that we have bought for $70, and somebody just showed us the latest edition.
Wow.
I don't know how they did it, but it's crazy.
Okay.
So there are some very good FM books. I recommend a couple so that you can just read a chapter every now and then and get deeper and deeper on how to think. Because what I'm really doing here is to expose you to how to think strategically,
Yes.
right? So that your language begins to change, your mindset begins to change. And when it's time to actually deliver on a project or an activity, you can go and search for specifics to come up with something that will make sense, to management.
Yes.
So in terms of policies, really, nobody, FM is not regulated. FM is not regulated. So nobody's going to create a policy that will be binding on all organizations. That's why I say it's evolving. Companies are maturing into that realization that they need FMs. And some FMs are already being moved in. There's a project I was invited to just last week where they want to build a high rise in the Atlantic, but they want me to come in as the FM consultant because they understand that they don't want any design to start being built before they will get somebody coming to tell them they made a mistake. You understand? I apologize for the network today. Both MTN and Airtel, they've been combining, and I think I'm beginning to suspect that they get their signal from the same place, because when they are both down, they are both down. So the point is, there's really no enforcement, right? But companies are beginning to realize, that they're happy to pay me 10 million, 20 million to just keep an eye on the design, keep an eye on the construction, just to make sure that they get it right. You can't finish spending 40, 50, 60 billion, and somebody will now tell you that there's a big problem you can't cope with. So that's the kind of thing. So we can bill well for it now, and they're beginning to say, okay, yes, we'll pay you just to have your brain with us, to get it done. So as we also elevate ourselves, we can have more of us, focus on this operational readiness and become consultants, starting with our own organizations, and start a side business where we advise developers, on things they can do to get better at their operational readiness. And there's a lot of money from it. I did operational readiness for a team that was going to take over their facility, and I mean, it paid me some good millions for a 2-year contract. So we need to start thinking of it as an area where we should focus on, because we are lucky to be in a country where development is not yet saturated. We are still talking about less than 45% of our buildable areas built up. We still have 55% of our building stock yet unbuilt. You understand? So the opportunity to correct the errors in future development is massive, that we can take advantage of. Okay.
Sorry, one last question. A little bit deviating from, when you spoke about vision and everything, just got me thinking, like, what's my whole vision for this whole training I'm going for? I initially had a vision, but as you spoke, my vision became probably more clear. So I would like to ask, like, after this training, what's the path for us to take? I know we've done that a little bit in the career, FM career position, but if your vision at the end of the day is to own your own FM company, what's after this? What are, like, just maybe a few highlights on what we could do?
If that is the part you've already thought up right now, I believe you should already start, right? Because you're going to be learning step by step how to think, how to act, how to create process and procedures, and put things in place, right? So by action after the training, just like somebody saying, I'm studying whatever in school. It's when I finish school, I will know what next to do. No, you don't finish school before knowing what next to do. So put together a plan of what you want to do. If you want to seek validation, reach out to me. I'll look through it, advise, because once you are on this program, you are already admitted into our talent management and mentorship program for life, right? So what that means really is that you can always consult with us for free as far as your career is concerned and your next steps in facility management is concerned. It's a lifetime package that we are doing, and we have 500 and counting on the alumni who have gone through the program, who are on our radar on a monthly basis, right? So by next steps, I'll say start up immediately, come up with, the whys. What are the goals for your new business? What are the mission and vision for the new business? Start thinking of how to put together a prospectus in terms of a company profile. What ideas, what kind of target customers are you looking at? Just ask questions and answer them, about the kind of business you are looking to build from here. And I mean, I made a mistake in the past of trying to make sure I had an elaborate business plan. I had a huge write-up. Now I realize that I did all those write-up and I never referred to them, right? So it's better to just have a few pages of your thoughts, ask a few questions, answer them, and start acting on them immediately. And then you need guidance, of course, we'll be here to support you along the way, okay?
All right, thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Yes, Wenofu, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ogami, for the presentation. There's been a lot to take this evening. Hopefully we'll digest them. I just wanted to ask, when you're called for like a consultancy to prepare like this operational readiness, what do you deliver? What are you expected to deliver to the client that wants you to embark on an operational?
So the first thing I do is to understand the organization. I use that SFP model. Understand their business, understand the kind of people they work with, understand the kind of customers they work with, why are they building this building, right? And then I'll now take all the plans they have had already, their drawings, their schematics, their proposals, if they've gotten to that stage, right? If they haven't, what I'll basically do is take the brief for the project and dissect it, kind of break it down into compartments. For the next stage. And then the next stage is instead of doing a write-up to create a write-up, I don't necessarily need to create a write-up because a consultancy job is specific to the situation. So the first time the architect brings a drawing, I look at the drawing, analyze the drawing, and I make points, right? So there may be issues with block and fit schematics, how relationship of different units that are being cited in the drawings. I can know that because I took my time to understand the business in the first place. I know how their departments work. I know how they serve their customers. I can now make comments to say, oh, this department does this. Can you move it behind this department? Can you shift this a little bit to the right? Can you give more space to this one because they've been growing for the last 5 years. So I'll make those comments. The client will review it, agree with the one he wants to agree with, pass on to the consultant to revise his drawing. Then they bring the next level of drawing again. You understand what I'm saying? So it's an ongoing engagement which involves just using my experience and what I've gathered as my understanding of their business to keep correcting and studying them as they build through. So that's basically how consulting works. But the framework for every client will be different. I've done similar consultancy work for 3 or 4 companies where one of my friend who was in one, when I did the work for them, moved to the other one and told the MD, you have to go and get Mr. Paul to help us with this consultancy. And he expected me to just take the templates I used for them in their former company to, just fill it up and come and give them. And he was shocked that it took me 5 weeks 5 weeks. In fact, at some point, he became worried. This thing now, we are getting concerned though. Like, you're not working on it, because he just expected that you've done it before. Am I teaching again this week?
No, sir, you're not.
Okay. So see you guys next week, hopefully, or the week after. Have a nice day. Please do your assessment too. There's an assessment in every class now. It's not like before when previous classes had some classes that didn't have assessment. We have in every class now, all. So get it done. That's how we drive the lessons home. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, sir. Bye-bye, sir. Thank you.
Good night, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.